Alright, hello Buffet students. I'm Charlotte Foster. I'm a junior into Super AP in Dr. Neat's 5th period class. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about a method for creating your own sprites and sprite sheets. So you guys are learning Unity right now, and actually I'm taking it with you because when I was in 9th grade, my 4th quarter got kind of cut off because we never came back from spring break. So I'm taking Unity with you, but one thing that I remembered from doing it is that what you eventually end up doing is you create kind of simple animations, characters, items, stuff like that, that you can put in your game. And Dr. Neat has several good ways to get sprites that are already created, and a sprite is like, I guess, just whatever your pixelated character looks like. So Dr. Neat has a few ways to get sprites, but I'm going to be showing you guys a cool way that I found to make your own sprites. So it's this application called Piskel, and it's really easy to download. So just open, Google, your browser, whatever, and then you're just going to type in Piskel, and then click on the first thing that comes up. And so it should take you to this screen here, and you have this tab downloads, and then for me, I'm on a Windows. It's super easy if you're on a Windows. I just click this button, and I already have it downloaded, so I'm not going to do it here. But you just click it, it downloads it for you, and then it goes into your downloads folder, and then you just move it to wherever you want it on your computer. If you have a Mac, hopefully it's that easy. If not, talk to Mac users in your class. I'm sure Dr. Neat can help you. If I'm in your period, I can try to help you. I'm sure we can figure this out. But this is a really easy download. So once you have it downloaded, what you're going to do is you're going to go to it, and then this is the folder that comes with it, and then this is the .exe file, so you're just going to click on this and it should open right up, and it brings you to this screen. So I'm not a super talented artist, but I've made some decent stuff with this. So I'm going to show you how it works basically, and then I'm going to set you guys free with 2 labs to get started on trying to make your own character or whatever. So obviously the thing that sets you up first with is the pen tool. So your default color is black. You just hold and click and it'll make a line for you. And then this up in the top right corner, when we make more than one frame, we'll show you what our animation looks like. Control Z works, so if you're not happy with your line, you can just Control Z. And then, so this next tool, and then you can also pick your pen size. So this is 1 pixel all the way up to 4 pixels here, if you want to, good for coloring. And then this thing is really cool. So this is the vertical mirror pen, and it lets you draw symmetrically really easily. And then if you hold Shift or Control, it'll let you do the horizontally, and if you hold Shift, it does both at the same time. So that's pretty cool as well. The bucket tool, so if I draw a circle, and then if I want to make it red, you just click right in there. Oh, it's not connected. Connect that there so I can show you what I'm talking about. Oh, and every time you have to select back. So go to red, go to our bucket tool, boom, we have a red circle. So that, again, makes it easy for coloring. And then this is, I haven't used this very much yet. I am not 100%, oh, there you go. It just painted all of it black. Interesting. I haven't used this a whole lot, and I'm also not very familiar with digital art in general. So, feel free to experiment with, oh, okay. So it just paints the background, it looks like. Experiment with this. And then this is the eraser. So the two that I kind of seem to use the most are the pen, just for general drawing lines, and then the eraser for if I want, I don't want those 2 on the top, or I want to redraw this down here, and then I can use my eraser. This is for straight lines. This allows you to just draw rectangles. This lets you draw circles. And then this lets you move stuff that's connected. This lets you do shapes, select some shapes here. And then this is the other thing that I use that's kind of complicated. So if we have this is like the selection tool in Paint. So if we select it, so we have this area selected, and then you have a couple things you can do here. So we can Control C to copy it, Control V to paste it, and then the thing that I use a lot is if you do Shift, then you can move it like that, and then click away, and then there. So we moved it away from the rest of it. And then this thing is for lightening and darkening stuff. So if I just kind of go over here, you can see it makes it lighter. And then if you hold Control while you're doing that, then it'll make it darker. That's good for shading to give your sprites a little bit more of depth. You know, if you have the light coming in from one area, you might want to make one place darker. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't know what dithering is. Oh, there you go. Looks like it just draws a square randomly. So I'm learning with this too. I just thought it was a really neat tool. And then this is the color picker, so if I want to make it red, and then so I have that color selected. And yeah, so that's basically how you do it. So that's with one frame. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and pull up something else that I've already made right now. So we can see that this is one frame, and so it looks like this. And you know, if we make a new frame, this is what our animation looks like down here on the top right. 12 FPS is a lot, especially considering a lot of these animations are probably going to be pretty simple. I usually draw in 2 or 3 FPS, and then if I actually put something on the screen here so you can kind of see what it looks like. That doesn't really look like anything, but you can see it's going back and forth between the 2 frames. Layers, I haven't really messed with much. You can rotate stuff, clone layers, you can align images to the center, stuff like that. And then this is your color palette down here at the bottom right. So if you want to manage it, you can, change colors, you can delete colors. This color palette was for a sprite that I've been working on. And so you can add colors, change colors, delete colors, and then you obviously have your generic, like, so it's in red right now, but if I want it to be in green, I just move this down here and then select the shade of green that I want. You can also put in RGB values, like we've been doing with our coding. And then I think that's all of it for your basic. Oh, and then the other thing that you can do. So this is for, like, we're creating pixelized stuff here, like we are working with pixels. And so what you can do is resize the canvas. So right now this is 32 by 32. So let's say I want to make a sprite that's a little bigger. We can do 64 by 64. We resize the canvas. Now my little thing, you can see it's a lot smaller. But let's say I want to make it even bigger. Let's say I want to make it 128 by 128. So I can maintain aspect ratio, and then we can also resize the canvas content. So we resize, and now it's the same size that it was before, right? So let's say, I find that it's easier to draw in 32 by 32 or 64 by 64, either one. Well, that completely destroying. Making it smaller kind of messes it up, but I find it's easier to draw in 32 by 32 or 64 by 64. But that's not a very big image, especially on a computer like this that is like 1080 by 720 or something like that. So what you can do is, you can make whatever it is that you want, and then you can resize it to a bigger, and you can make sure this box here is checked, so you can resize it to something that's, you can actually see. And then also, you notice, so when it was smaller, we could see the individual lines between all of these pixels, but now it looks a lot smoother, and this doesn't really actually look like anything, but you can see that it looks a lot smoother with the shading that we did earlier. This is for saving, so you can just save it. So this will save it as a file, and it's called a .piskel file. And I'll show you how to load those because you can't really just double click them. See, I have 2 saved here already. And then you can also just do save in browser, which is really easy. And then what you do to load those. So then to load stuff, let's say we can browse local saves. So we have new Piskel, which is this one, and then Azario, which is another one. And then you can also browse your Piskel files. So I have that one. I don't know why it doesn't filter it. I think I have another one up here somewhere. Yeah, that one there. And then you can open them that way. And then the most important part that we're going to be doing with this is exporting them as sprite sheets. So you can download it as an animated GIF, which if you wanted to, I don't know, post this or share it with friends or something, you can absolutely do that. But for Unity, what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to save it as a PNG, because that will load all of your frames onto one image, and then you will learn how to make that into an animation in Unity. I think it's Lab 8, I think, is when we learn how to do that. So all you're going to do is you're going to click download, new Piskel. I'm not going to do it. I guess I can. So we'll just name it Doodle, I guess. Doodle. And then boom, there it is. And then it's my downloads folder. See, and so this is what I was talking about, how small it is. I think this is 128 by 128. So, and then let me do one with more than one frame so you can see what I'm talking about there. So if we just, beautiful, that's amazing art. So we'll go ahead and, not import, we're gonna export this. Export PNG, we're gonna download it. Just call it that. And here we are. And so this is a sprite sheet, so this is both of my frames in one thing. So let me show you some of the ones that I've made already, and then I'll get to your first lab for working with this. So I'm going to browse local saves. We'll just go ahead and take a look at this guy. Alright, so this guy, I think the canvas size is 32 by 32. Oh, it's 64 by 64. So my canvas size for this guy is 64 by 64. And you can see that he has, you know, he's moving or whatever. Like I said, I'm not the best artist ever, but here it is. And so for this, and this is in 4 FPS so that it looks smooth, because if it's in, you know, usual 15 15 FPS, then it looks kind of crazy, so I just kind of slow it down. And then the more frames that you have, the smoother it will look, but I just have 2 frames for this one right now. So for your first lab, all I want you to do is draw just an image in 1 frame of, you know, if you have a character in mind, you can draw them. If you have something you want to do, you know, already in mind, and if not, just go ahead and draw a smiley face, 1 frame, and then once you're done with that, you can go ahead and unpause the video, and I will continue on with how to add frames and things like that. So, okay. Alright, hopefully you guys did that. So now that we've, you know, you've worked with hopefully at least some of these tools and the colors and all of that, let's go ahead and take a look at how to make animations that have more than 1 frame. This thing is really nice about that, especially, this is my favorite part, the fact that you can see what it looks like. So, you have a couple options. You obviously have the add new frame button down here, and then that immediately adds it, and because it's empty, it just kind of gives it a little flash, so you can add it, and then you can start drawing stuff. So we have 1 frame there. Or the other thing that you can do is you can duplicate the frame, you can move the frame around. Let's say we don't like that order, we can move them around. And then, so duplicating the frame is something that I do a lot, because so we have, this is our first frame, and then this is our second frame, and they're just a little bit different from each other. And then if this is our 3rd frame, and let's say we want to change the way that these move on the 3rd frame, I just kind of erase the end here a little bit, right? And then I kind of go back and just draw it a little bit differently. And see, now you can see that this has 3 frames. I would clean that up a little bit, but that's fine. So then, you know, there you go. You can kind of see the way that it changes. So that's kind of how you work with frames. Keep, you know, use this as reference. If you do more frames, you can make it go faster. If you do less frames, you want to make it go slower. And then, yeah, so just kind of experiment with that. And then I'll show you one of the other ones that I had that I really did work with, some of the shading tools. I want to browse my Piskel files. So this one, this is a lot of frames, but this is something that I did for, I actually have this in a Unity file on my other computer so I could kind of see what it looks like. And this canvas is 150 by 150, which is still not very big, but I drew this in 64 by 64, and then I resized it so that it still fills the entire thing, because again, 64 pixels is not a lot of pixels, and that doesn't end up being a very big object. And you can resize it in Unity if that makes more sense to you, but you also have the resize option here. So for this one, I did use the shading tool. You can kind of see this wing is supposed to be behind it, so I made some of it darker, and this is like his underbelly, so it's darker. And you can kind of see how much smoother that makes it look. And then, so this is the basic animation, and this one is going really slow, even though it's in 2 FPS, because I have all of these frames, but they are all also, like, a lot of these are identical. And the reason for that is because, yeah, I think I have 3 of the same frame. Yeah, so I have 3 of the same frame and 3 of the same frame. And the reason for that is because Dr. Neat told me that Unity, you can fix the FPS. I haven't done too much research into it, but I think it runs at like 24, I think is what it runs at. So if you just have the 2 frames, then this guy looks like he's kind of having a seizure, and that's not really what we want. So in order to make it better, I just put a bunch of identical frames, so that way when it's running it, you know, 3 of the images are the same, so that way the overall animation looks slower. So let me show you what I mean. So if we have, you know, these 3 are the same, so if you get rid of that one, get rid of that one, See, he kind of looks like he's like spasming here if we have it at the max. So if we change it, that looks a little bit more natural, and I think, so, you know, just mess with it here until you can figure out like how fast you want it, and then you can put it in Unity so that way it looks slower. So, alright, so for your next lab, I want you guys to make something that has at least 2 or 3 unique frames, and then I don't think you're at the point where you're going to put anything in Unity yet, but if you feel comfortable and you want to go ahead to lab 8 into work and put this into your game, you can, and if you want to wait for either, you know, Dr. Needs help or my help, you can feel free to wait for that too. So yeah, there you go. Hopefully this makes sense. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments down below, and I hope that this was helpful to you guys and that you guys enjoy using this tool. Thank you, and I will see you next time.